possible. And I also add that when he started this, it really was just him out here acting on his own. Whereas right now, due to the down state of the game of tennis, it's a lot of money being poured into U.S. tennis to get to funnel youth, especially any kids that they can identify that have are gifted in tennis. Right now, USA is putting in a lot of money and resources behind tennis to develop players because the ranks are kind of slim. Right now on the men's side, there isn't any Americans. There was a brother, Donald Young, played. He played the day before. I think he might have played Monday against Stan Wawrinka, and he challenged him a little bit, but he was actually defeated. So there are no Americans left. Before we move on, just to answer your question, Serena is actually very likely that she's going to complete this Grand Slam because her next opponent is an unranked player named Roberta Vinci from Italy. So she has an unranked player that she has to face, and then in the championship, I think the number 2 seeded female is still in play. So she could meet some resistance in the finals, man. But I think it's a wrap, personally.
Well, those unranked chicks is the ones that'll spoil it all for you. Because that right there is her. That right there is her championship game right there, spoiling it for her. So let's just hope she stay focused.
Exactly. So moving on, man. Let's get into one of your favorites, your obvious favorites, man. That pigskin and gridiron. I don't know for anybody out there that happened to press play. Meeks has been putting up some Heisman Trophy lists, some shows with some Heisman watch lists and everything. So I would advise everybody to check those out. But getting into your home team state, man, the Wisconsin Badgers, man, which actually is one of the Big Ten programs that I keep a close eye on, and I've actually been very fond of the university the last 6, 7, 8 years because I'm a big-time Michigan fan, but with us being down in basketball until recently, but in basketball and the troubles with football with Rich Rod and Brady Hoke, I kind of adopted University of Wisconsin because they were competitive. But you guys opened up with a 35-17 loss to Alabama. And what was your thoughts on that, man?
Well, first off, you didn't have to tell everybody we lost. What the fuck? Now, my thoughts on that was, well, first off, out the gate, they gave us Bama. So it was going to be a hard one anyway. But I honestly expected them to keep it competitive. But me watching this team, I couldn't tell you the last time we won a ball game. You know, we always ranked in between 20th and 24th. Right now, I think we've dropped to 26 or something. But, you know, we just built Wisconsin, just the team in general over the last 20 years has been built on running the ball. And that's what we do. It didn't work against Alabama because, you know, that SEC is pretty tough. They built different. But I was honestly disappointed in the loss. I wanted them to keep it closer because just that score alone is a little bit of an embarrassment. That's a national test to show you can hold your own. And right there, we kind of failed that first test.
Well, one thing that wasn't working in your favor was the fact that you lost 4 linemen to the NFL in this past draft. So you knew, like you said, over the last 5 years, the Badgers have averaged almost 264 yards a game on the ground. So you had to think there was going to be some drop-off. The one thing that caused y'all some problems, man, was, Alabama had a first-time starter at quarterback, so I thought you guys had a chance there. But they got another one of them man-children back there in this Derrick Henry, man. So he had 13 carries for 147 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know, like you said, it was a tall order for opening for week 1. But like I said, I applaud you guys for being one of the Big Ten teams that is picking out a SEC opponent, every year or every other year, and I think it's helped y'all, do well over the last several years.
I mean, Wisconsin in general, the university in sports does pretty good. Going all the way back to the NCAA championship last year. I mean,
Right.
it's just a certain style that they bred and built by, and this sort of toughness. But when it comes to facing one of the top teams, and I forget what Bama is ranked, I believe number 2, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's just a test that you just got to show that you with the elite, and you don't get these opportunities every day. So Corey Clemens needs to step his game up, and I mean, they just got to do something for me because I'm highly disappointed in week 1.
Well, Corey Clement averaged 7 yards a carry last year in spot relief of Melvin Gordon. He came out this year for eight rushes for 16 yards. So you could tell right there by him not even getting a double digit, carries that the run game just wasn't there. The QB, Stavi, he had a pretty solid game with the exception of an interception. I just feel like they outlasted y'all, man.
Yeah, and see, and losing players to the NFL like that's no excuse because Bama lost players to the NFL draft too, just like everybody else, and the team, the whoever's running this should know that you have to build on the fly. Every year we gonna lose offensive linemen because that's what we build well. We build offensive linemen, and some would say quarterback, some would say not the way Monty Ball is in Denver right now, but my man in San Diego gonna turn that around, Melvin Gordon. So they'll have more high regards when it comes to our running back coming up sooner than later. But we build O linemen. We gonna lose them every year.
Right. But I'll just say that the key against going against a team like Alabama is usually when they lose the first rounders and the high round draft picks. Usually it's some four-star kids that fill their shoes, so they reload a lot quicker than most teams. Moving on though, you guys don't play Ohio State this year. You don't play Michigan State, so it's pretty likely that Wisconsin could be there at the end of the year. I mean, they could be standing, they could be right back in that Big Ten championship game. They play at Nebraska. They're at Illinois, who just fired their head coach. They play at Minnesota and at Maryland. I mean, it's realistic that this could be their only loss of the season.
Yeah, those are highly winnable games. But the problem is with our teams is, like, we built to make to the dance. We just don't got that extra kick you need to take it. So
I think y'all get caught up, man, with your wide receivers. I think although Aberdaris was pretty decent, the Toon kid, I think y'all play very well when everything is controlled. But like you said, I think when it comes to that, the impromptu or the improvisational stuff, very rarely do the Badgers have those caliber of players.
Right. But when it comes to the offensive weapons, that's just not something we attract.
But like I said, man, y'all, I think with the absence of the Wolverines the last several years, the absence of Penn State being a player, Nebraska being down, Wisconsin has held up the conference alone right next to Ohio State. And then, Ohio State even had that year in between Tressel and Urban Meyer where they had Luke Fickell. And Wisconsin was great that year. So
I want to talk about that real quick because, okay, of course the school was on a ban. But I just want to know, what did Urban Meyer see to make him come there? He came to a team that was in suspension. And next year, what did he do? Win the bowl? What the hell did he see there?
He saw Braxton Miller there.
Who, the wide receiver?
the new wide receiver. No, it was it was some wide receivers on the team. The defense was above average. It was a host of running backs. It was some good talent in there, man. And I just, Urban Meyer is an Ohio native.
Mm-hmm.
He coached at Bowling Green, Bowling Green State, which is right up the road. And it was just, I think he knew his reputation would precede him as far as recruiting kids, and it was the dream job for him.
Yeah, because those Maurice Clarett days was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Well, I think when he came in, we had Boom Herron, who made it to the NFL. It was some talent on the roster, but I think mainly I felt like it was just his childhood job or dream job. And then it was the fact that he was away from that SEC and that powerhouse that was being put together in over there in Tuscaloosa. And, it was just a place where he could get, and he has that reputation, so he can get kids from across the country. He could bring some of those SEC kids up. Urban is he's not an ignorant man. So, it was a timely move, and you see that it's paid off. But
I want Urban Meyer to go to the NFL so my man Tim Tebow could have a job again.
Hey, I wish that I was discussing that today with some Buckeye fans. Being the only Michigan man in my workspace, but Urban's not going anywhere.
No, he's not.
He's not. Whereas I won't go into it right now, but I feel a little skittish about Harbaugh long term, and we'll save that for our next discussion. Before we moved on though, I wanted to get into this. You hit on something just now with Wisconsin running backs, and I don't know, man. I'm sitting here like you just said, Monte Ball. He actually was released yesterday by the Denver Broncos.
He got released, man. That's kind of hurting my feelings. I didn't know that.
Which brings us to this discussion. What's going on with the Badger running backs, man? I mean, we go back to Ron Dane, Michael Bennett, P.J. Hill, John Clay. I'm noticing a trend here now. Monte Ball. Should I get excited about Melvin Gordon in San Diego or not?
Don't you want to talk about Jim Harbaugh instead? I don't know. I mean, I just think that product of the environment. The NFL team, 50% of running backs fail anyway. Unfortunately, all of ours fail.
What do you think? Do you think it's the benefit of running behind the Joe Thomases of the world for 2 or 3 years? You think that helps out?
Yeah, I mean, because everybody don't got that type of O-line. You ain't leaving the Badgers and being drafted by the Cowboys.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Because the Ron Dane thing kind of worked out for a little bit.
Yeah, it was some flashes.
The Monte Ball thing never worked out. I just think it's just coming out the Wisconsin system. It only works sometimes. And when I say sometimes, like the best example in the world I could come up with is Russell Wilson. He got that same demeanor as a Wisconsin Badger has. He just was able to find his niche in the NFL, unlike backs are almost.
I think it's just unfortunate, man. But I think what you just hit on though with your kids, I think when we look at these student athletes, man, I mean the main thing is to get your degree, have a successful career, have a as successful career as possible. And if you get a shot at the NFL, so be it. But like you said, a fraction of a percentage of players, of collegiate players, work out at the next level. Like I said, it just happens to draw the attention when you have a position such as running back that